This is European Railway, the video magazine for the continental enthusiast. Portugal has seen some major changes to its locomotive fleet over the past few years, with many classes consigned to the breaker's yard. The country operated a number of types which were built by the UK-based English Electric Company in the 1960s. As a result, there has been a huge following of these locomotives by British enthusiasts, none more so than the Class 1800, the development of the BR Class 50. Celebrity Blue Loco 1801 is one of a pair seen in January 2002. During early 2001, their diagrams included the lengthy Palmela to Setúbal docks car train. This is 1802 in the docks complex. Other workings include salt trains to and from Lule. CP's diesel locomotives were maintained at the main workshops at Barreiro. During a visit we can see various component overhauls taking place, including work to the electrical equipment.
Both those Ubers, 3 out centering for main generator failure.
And now, back to the action as 1801 pulls away from Canal Cavera. The French-designed 1900s are allocated between the passenger and freight sectors. One of the most famous workings for the 1900s was operating the coal trains out of the port of Sines until electrification of the branch brought these duties to an end a couple of years ago. The French-built 1200s are another type no longer in current operation. On a more positive note, the English electric-built Class 1400 are still in use. This one is seen at Cavia. Their duties include local passenger trains. The locos are based on the British Railways Class 20. These Alco-built machines are also consigned to history. Here, 1510 pilots a Class 1400 on a Funchiera to Stubal working in January 2001. Another class highly regarded by enthusiasts is the MLW Alco built Class 1550. This is number 1559. It's the 1800s, though, that attracted the greatest following. And finally, this is what it's like in the cab. For anyone holidaying in the south of France near Montpellier, the southwest main line to Narbonne is especially busy. We look at a selection of traffic through the small resort town of Marseillan Plage. It's 8:20 in the morning on Thursday 26th August 2004, and number 9634 heads the 0638 Avignon to Béziers commuter service. In the opposite direction, 7285 powers the 0613 Cerbère to Metz. There are around 2 freight trains each way per hour. Here, 7336 heads south. The line also plays host to the popular CC 6500 electrics, now in the twilight of their career. Here 6560 heads empty oil tanks for Fos near Marseille, seen on the morning of 27th August 2004. The train was quickly followed by 7274 with an ex-German diesel from the class 211 to 214 family in the consist. Just to the north of the station there is a tidal inlet into the Agde 2, an inland sea famous for its shellfish. Here 9626 passes by with a service to Avignon. TGV services operate throughout the day to and from Paris. Just to the west of the station, next to the tidal lagoons, is set number 234, working the 0650 from Perpignan. Number 7298 is seen in charge of the Catalan Talgo from Montpellier to Barcelona. There are a number of these through services each day. One of a batch of 9 adapted for working through the Channel Tunnel, number 22400 heads a train of Italian stock. The line is busiest during the early morning and again around tea time. There aren't many trains that stop at Marseillan. Here a Marseille-based Class Z 7300 unit arrives from Montpellier. The station is unstaffed with very few people about and is bounded by thick hedges of bamboo which grow all over this part of France. This is the 1704 from Avignon to Narbonne, arriving at 10 to 7. The train is headed by number 9336, a class found regularly working on the Toulouse to Marseille main line. With just about every train loco-hauled, this really is a line worth visiting. Our final scene shows 6562 heading a late evening southbound freight. Italy is a difficult country in which to film or photograph trains, especially whilst on stations where permission is required, and even then staff are nervous of the railway police. So, on a journey to the south of the country in May this year, we stopped off at Orbetello station on the west coast north of Roma. Stopping services were in the hands of Class 646. Here, 646128 arrives on the rear of the 1035 from Roma to Pisa. The class was built between 1961 and 1967, and this is typical of their present-day duties. Passengers on the main island platform wait for 444079, which is about to arrive for the 0936 from Napoli to Torino. The date is 2nd of May 2004. It is also evident that the track could do with a dose or two of weed killer. Most local services are operated in push-pull mode, with dedicated driving coaches such as seen here. Locomotive number 646086 provides the power. Every year we get supplied with material from viewers who travel around Europe. This year Ian Wilson travelled to Latvia and came across, amongst other things, some unbelievable Russian-built diesels at work. This is Jelgarve, just south of the capital city Riga, and a mighty 2 TE10 heads a 68-wagon oil train towards the port of Liepāja. The sound was, quote, unbelievable. Following close behind another double locomotive, this time in the shape of a 2M62 on a westbound train of loaded grain hoppers. We now move to Aluksne and the now preserved narrow gauge line to Gulbene. Here, one of the line's two Class TU2 diesels is seen running round the 0600 service from Gulbene. This 33km 750mm gauge line represents the only remains of the Stulkmana to Valka line built in 1903 and was recognised in 1998 as a cultural monument of national significance. This is the roundhouse at Gulbene and gives some idea of the extent of the old system. In the 1950s, narrow gauge lines in the former USSR had a renaissance when much modernisation took place, including the replacement of steam locomotives with the Type TU2 diesels still in operation. The narrow gauge railways crisscrossed all of Latvia and played an important part during the two world wars, moving countless tons of wood and agricultural related products. The Russian broad gauge system was expensive to build compared to the narrow gauge lines, which secured many of them from closure. The line to Aluksne is now the last of its kind. The TU2 locomotives were built in 1958 at the Kaluga works in Russia. They weigh in at 32 tons and have a 300 horsepower engine. Gulbene is now a terminus station on a broad gauge spur, seeing one return passenger service per day and a small amount of freight traffic. Here, an unsilenced M62 diesel arrives with oil tanks on 26 June 2004. The station is very grand and represents the importance it once had as a through route to the country's capital. There are just 3 return services each day on the narrow gauge line. Here, TU 273 departs with the 1325 service to Aluksne, a picturesque 1.5 hour ride for just 60 pence at current exchange rates. Finally, the M62 returns with its train of empties. The main line routes are ideal for watching the long freight trains making their way from the likes of Russia and Belarus to the major port of Liepāja. Here again we witness a 2 TE10 leaving Jelgarve heading west. These locomotives can produce over 6,000 horsepower. Finally, a little further west, and a 2M62 heads this lengthy westbound mixed freight. The railways of Latvia are well worth a visit, both in terms of the Russian influence, but also the superb scenery through which many lines pass. The railways in the eastern part of Germany are popular with enthusiasts from across Europe. In this section we call in at Ruhland, a small town station close to the major coal-producing areas northeast of Dresden. We continue the Russian locomotive theme here as former DR Class 120, a Russian M62 design, now owned and run by a track maintenance company, heads north through the station heading for Hoyerswerda. Local passenger services are almost entirely formed using push-pull stock operated by Class 143 electrics. This one arrives on the line from Cottbus. Freight activity is around 2 trains per hour in each direction, the majority of which are hauled by Class 155s. This is 155-118. This is a new Class 185 electric, operated by Hoyer Chemicals, with a terminating service for the local works just to the north of the town. Note the superb water tower which dominates the station area. Privately owned BASF shunter number 313 brings out a rake of wagons from the nearby chemical works. The train will then be taken forward by the Class 185 seen earlier. Just to the east of the station, on the line to Hoyerswerda, 155095 heads empty coal hoppers east on 7th May 2004. These trains are roughly every 90 minutes or so in each direction. Finally, 298311 is seen departing on the Dresden line with a southbound mixed freight. We continue in Germany now as we sample activity at Friesenheim on the main line to Basel between Karlsruhe and Freiburg. The results are from just over 80 minutes stay at the station. We arrived close to darkness on Wednesday 28th April 2004 as this ICE service for Basel headed south. Using a little gain control on the camera to improve the light, 110369 arrives with a local stopping service just 5 minutes later. The line is dead straight so you can see for many kilometres in each direction. This is 185067. It's 22 minutes past 9 now as this 151 heads south. Six minutes later, and Swiss 482015 heads this oil train. New BLS 485006 has been looped to allow a Basel-bound ICE to pass. This is 151155. Finally, 140534 rounds off the evening's entertainment. One of the biggest marshalling yards in Switzerland is located at Zurich Limmatal. Just to the north of the complex is Kilwangen Station, where we begin this feature. Class 450 locomotives are permanently coupled to passenger stock to form outer suburban rakes on many of the S-Bahn lines radiating out from Zurich. Here 450-110 pauses with a train for scene. Station pilot number TM8779 scuttles off on its next turn of duty. Most freight trains are hauled by Class AE66 electrics. This is 11518. (11421) is seen on this northbound working, just leaving the yard's departure sidings, which are beyond the far bridge. This is the main yard, and 11488 arrives in the northbound reception sidings. The complex is fairly modern, but is used well under its potential capacity, with perhaps only about 20% of the main wagon holding sidings containing any traffic. The main line runs parallel to the yard on the eastern edge, adjacent to the nearby motorway. Here, a German ICE nears journey's end on 29th April 2004. During our morning stay, there were roughly 3 freight services each way per hour. This view shows 11471 arriving with a train from Basel. This is a track maintenance machine. The yard's main hump facility is in the background. Finally, 11504 arrives light engine. Limatal Yard is definitely the place to see these type of locomotives. With a number of convenient overbridges, the yard offers some good photographic opportunities, but probably best in the afternoon and evening. Niklasdorf is situated just to the west of Bruck on the main line between Vienne and Villach. We take a look at the area using material from 2001 and 2004. Most trains these days are in the hands of the Class 1016-1116 family of Taurus electrics. Here to the west of the station, 1116-188 is passed by a much older 1142-611. With a convenient access road which runs alongside the line, photography here is very good. This is endangered 1044-040. There are frequent intercity expresses, including Eurocity services such as this. A Vienne to Venezia train passes behind 1116-128. Local stopping services are hourly. 1142-588 powers away with a train for Bruck. 1016042 is seen departing east with a local service on 5th May 2004. On 14th May 2001, locomotive 1044-050 arrives with a westbound pickup freight at just after 6 in the evening. This time of day is busy for freight, with services around every 10 minutes. Class 1010 Cocoa electrics were a common sight at Niklasdorf in 2001. Here 1010-002 arrives from the north. Sadly, these locomotives are now out of traffic. Centre Cab Electric 1063-007 arrives from the north. 50 of these locomotives were built between 1983 and 1991. The Class 1040 electrics were then in the last months of service. Having spent most of the day stabled in front of the station, 1040-006 departs to work an evening freight, eventually ending up at Selzthal. As the evening light fades, 1044-204 heads north for Wien. With headlights blazing, 1141-021 pilots 1142-634. The 1141s are sadly another class of electric now consigned to the history books, with the last surviving in regular use around Selzthal and Achtnang-Puchheim. Lastly, vintage electric multiple unit number 4030-228 arrives with a stopping service for Bruck. These units date from as far back as 1961. Although the variety of locomotives seen through Neklasdorf has changed over the past few years, with the arrival of the new Taurus electrics, the main line still remains extremely busy for both passenger and freight. French railways have announced that the Class CC 6500 electrics are expected to be withdrawn at the end of this year. Most are now confined to operating freight trains in the south of the country. Here, number 6533 is seen just to the south of Istres on the line to Port de Fos on the 15th of October 2004. We plan to run a feature on these locomotives in a future edition of European Railway.